This is the What Do You Know show, hosted by Rio, my co-host Griff. How you doing,
What's
Griff?
up? Feeling good today. How about you?
Doing well, yeah. With the new year, it's getting things started. So I have a very special guest. The first episode with kdog
Hey, start the year off right, baby. What's up?
with Driverseat. So tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Kendall. Everybody calls me kdog. Born and raised here in Indy, right off 32nd and Clifton, 32nd and Raider, whatever you want to call it. But I was over there until I was 12, and then we moved to Pike Township, the house that my mom is currently in. And I grew up playing basketball from the age of 3 to 23, so throughout middle school, high school, up until my senior year of college. About me, I'm into sports, music, clothes. That's probably it, so up to this point, I'm trying to have my hand in a little bit of all of the things that I like. So starting off with the clothing brand, well, I like to call it a lifestyle brand because I want to touch on, every aspect of the things that I like I said. So in that lifestyle, sports, music, entertainment with like movies and books, whatever, I want to touch it all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Even books, literature?
I want to get into reading books. Like, I don't really make New Year's resolutions, but that's something that I want to take an interest in. Like, even you send me little excerpts and different things and different pieces of literature, So
Yeah.
I want to.
So, like, just for the audience, I sent you the Enchiridion by the philosopher Epictetus. It was a Stoic, and very interesting thing about Stoic philosophers, or just reading philosophy or anything in general, whatever it is, it just broadens your perspective. It broadens the scope of things you could imagine.
I feel like that's something that I really need,
Yeah.
It's a hard read, but it's a good read.
Really.
What, the
They
Enchiridion?
usually are.
Whoa, okay.
Those Stoic philosophies are usually hard reads, but
Yeah, it hard as in possibly.
hard as in like the language is usually really different from colloquial language, and so you have to get through the what seems like murk to get to the meaning, just because people talk totally different.
What I thought you meant by hard, I thought you were meaning harsh, because Stoic philosophers will say like, "Oh, if you lose your child, that's okay. You love the person, not the child. So go out and do
but that's
it,"
some real stuff though. Like,
Yeah, no, exactly.
I was kind of into this stuff that you sent me because it's real.
Yeah.
I like things that are real. So like growing up, when the Red Cross would come with the little book fair and stuff, I never knew what to pick, and I really didn't even pick anything if it wasn't about sports. If you didn't have a picture of like Reggie Miller, Vince Carter, or Tracy McGrady or something on it. So like, I feel like I need to evolve into reading different type of materials.
And it's just because you had your values and you were generated by your own interests, and that's something I'm trying to do with this show too. When I talk about Mike Tyson, for instance,
Yeah.
because
He has a really great podcast.
What?
He has a really great podcast.
Yes, he does.
It's amazing.
Oh, I love his
amazing.
podcast. We could have a whole hour on
It's
his
amazing.
podcast. But just people are very accustomed to Mike Tyson, the legend. Mike Tyson may be a crazy legend, a crazy person. There's so much that's built into his character based on his foundations, how he even got into the sport of boxing, where it took him to that crazy level of fame at literally 20 years old.
Yeah.
And so like, I would so just to touch on you purchasing books or like checking out books that had an athlete on it. That's cool because they have very unique stories, and they have stories that, especially for men and male athletes, they reach a pinnacle of greatness a lot of men wish that they could. Like
It's like a 1 in a million chance, like things like that. And like going back to that, I feel like I went to those type of books and stuff because of something that I related to. So like I said, I started playing basketball at the age of 3. Other than that, I was playing video games and watching Cartoon Network, and I really wasn't into like the superhero movies and comic books and stuff like that. So if I saw those things, I really wouldn't gravitate towards it because I didn't know it.
Right. Yeah, and just wasn't what you were interested in.
Yeah.
So how did the concept of Driverseat evolve for you in your mind? Like, was it always something that you wanted to do, like young growing up? Because obviously you touched on how
Growing up, I don't think so. Like, the whole idea of Driverseat really came to me my freshman year of college. I was at Western Illinois. It was my only Division I scholarship offer. I went there. I got to campus probably Sunday. We played 3-on-3. I'm kicking that I ain't gonna lie. But that was on Sunday. And by Wednesday, I'm in the hospital with a muscle disorder. It's called rhabdomyolysis. You can Google that if you want. But that forced me to redshirt. And that was probably one of the most depressing times of my life because, like I said, I've been playing basketball my whole life. I finally get to college, and the game was literally just taken away from me. You know, so it was countless days that I would go back to my dorm room. I'm like, all right, I came here to play basketball thinking that, like, this would be one of the next steps that I would take to hopefully play professionally, like overseas or something like that. But I started to think that, like, if I can't hoop, how am I going to make the money that I want to make to support the habits that I have? So all those days going back to my dorm, looking at my closet, I'm looking at Supreme tees, Stussy tees, and, like, I'm spending my money on all this. It's going to come to a point where I can't do that anymore. So I'm like, all right, what if I have my own stuff? I start thinking about it. All right, I'm from Indy. We don't really have our own, you know, clothing brands and our own scene like that. How can I make something that's, you know, people will know that it's from here? So I start thinking, all right, Indy, basketball, probably not. Race cars, speedway, cars, driver's seat. And then probably like 10 minutes later, no backseat driving came. And like that, I don't really know where that came from, but it just stuck.
Right.
Driver's seat, no backseat driving. I'm like, oh yeah, that's perfect.
It is.
That's hot. That's hot. If you don't mind me asking, what do you think it was about you that allowed you to find an opportunity in, like, such disparity? Because I've heard stories like that where people, like, they rely on, like, one thing, especially at IU, talk about musicians, and they might injure their arm, and so they can't play their instrument, and their whole livelihood is based on playing the instrument. And a lot of those kids, they just go home, and that's it.
For me, I don't know. I've always been somebody that, like, if I put my mind to it, I'm gonna get it done. So when it came to figuring out something different, it was just at a point where I was really on my ass. Like, I've been playing basketball my whole life. They finally told me that I probably won't ever play again. I'm like, all right, I really got to think of something now. I think at the time I was a computer science major. I really didn't know what I wanted to do with that field. I just knew that I liked electronics, computers, video games, and but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just went back to other things that I like, which are clothes, getting fresh. I think I probably had like 25 pairs of shoes with me, and that's just 5 hours away from my mom's house where everything else was, you know. So I don't know, man. It's just me building on things that I like.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
And I was describing to you, or excuse me, I was describing about you to Aaron because he had never met you before. Right. What I was telling him was, as far as I know you, which is somewhat minimal, but there you have an air of confidence about you. You have an air of competence about you. And it's just something I naturally felt, and as I got to know you more, it just was made apparent. And that's interesting because I have a slight inversion of that story. So I'm in college. I started off as a fashion design major because Jada and Elijah Breeze, Jada is the CEO of our and Co company, and Breeze, the rapper, my great friend. They really got me into clothes when I had never had an interest in clothes.
Really?
Right? That was like in 6th, 7th grade. They really got me into it. So anyway, now I'm in college, and I'm like, I want to be a fashion design major. I want to make clothes. I want my own streetwear company, all that. And then literally the first 2 days, one of the most tenured professors in the the fashion or apparel administration like degrees, Dr. Deb, she told me, wait, so you're in the fashion design major? Yeah. What do you want to do? Streetwear. She's like, what is streetwear?
Nobody ever knows what streetwear is.
You know, and so I describe it a bit, you know, preliminarily. And she's like, oh, okay, fashion design is not for you because you're going to be making dresses if you do our program. And so she encouraged me. She said, do the apparel merchandising degree. That way you'll learn the business of fashion.
See, I wish I would have got into things like that. Like, when I transferred, I was forced to change my major from computer science because the school that I transferred to didn't have a computer science program. So I got into business, but I didn't know what field to get into. That's why I graduated with a business administration degree where I can do the finance part, I can do really whatever, but I really wish I would have found something that I really wanted to do and just go hard at that. Kind of like the apparel merchandising thing.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have worked out 10 times better.
To me, it's funny because, so I'm just going through the motions. To be honest with people, in my opinion, college is easier than high school to me.
If you know what you're going for, like,
right,
I wouldn't recommend anybody just going to college just to go because your parents told you to go.
Yeah, definitely.
You have to have a plan.
Bad idea.
You definitely have to have a plan. Like, I have a real admiration for like doctors and like anybody who knows that they're gonna have to go to school for 8, maybe 9 years, but they trust that process. They have that plan. They're not just gonna be there wasting time.
Yeah. Especially, you bring up a great point. Doctors and stuff that will never be easy, no matter whatever, right? In terms of just like I said, in my experience, for me, college was easier than high school because I had all this free time on my hands.
Yeah,
and so I'm just basically wasting away and not doing much, like either playing video games or getting high or just doing whatever, chilling with buddies and stuff like that.
That's how it usually goes.
Because there was no aim, you know? I really didn't have a motivation, and then there are certain things that happened in my life that really changed who I was, got me focused and reading and just thinking about my future. So then I graduate, back at home with mom, because I didn't have a job, I didn't have anything lined up, because at the time I was just aimless. And so it's funny because we're spending a lot of time together, Jade and I, and she's like, oh, okay, I want to do this. I want to start this fashion brand. I want to have a screen printing machine in my other room. I want to do this and that. And I was like, no, that's impractical. No, this is not how this will work.
And then what?
And then, well, she got pissed. Yeah, because she thought, oh, just shoot me down.
In true Jada fashion.
In true Jada fashion. So I get to the point, though, it's like there was a part of my life that I had gained the skills necessary in order to implement them.
Yeah.
And it was all because of the values that I had. And that's why I find our story is very similar in that you had values, you had a reason to pursue them, and then now we're pursuing them. And our paths have crossed in that aspect because Driverseat is someone we're looking to collaborate with.
I told you the first day I met you at Jada's house, walked through the door, shook your hand. I don't know what you said, but 5 minutes after first meeting you, I told you we was going to be best friends. This is going to be the best relationship ever. It was just something about the way you think, bro. Like, I don't know. It's just like a perfect fit. That's why I'm kind of mad that Jada has you. And that I don't want to call it like a camp, but you're a part of the company.
Yeah.
I need somebody like that on my team.
Oh, man. Well, and as you know, I've expressed it so many times, there isn't any limit to how much I want to contribute to not only your ideas, but anybody's ideas. Building with our people is something that we just have to focus on. I don't even care if you don't like another person. If you have an opportunity you can build with them, you should. You should. Because at the end of the day, what's going to really enrich our lives? Not being impoverished. Yeah. Literally. And then I tell, this is something funny too. I give people this advice and they find it harsh or weird. I say, don't get into something because you love it, or don't make what you do a hobby. Because a lot of people, like my friends are musicians, and they say, oh, I do it for the love, I do it for the art, I do just, it's my thing, you know. Do it to monetize, grow, get better.
I think you got to get into it from the love aspect, though. Because if you don't love it, it's going to be a drain doing that shit every day or thinking about it all the time, because you don't love it. Like it's not something that you really want to do.
Yeah, that's usually my counter argument to him saying is if you don't love it and you try to make money off of it, it'll all be tainted.
Yeah.
From the very start, it'll be tainted.
Yeah.
I see that in clothing. Like people will just use a heat press and put vinyl on it and call it a clothing brand.
And then you make money off trash, or you try to make money off trash. You gotta have a love for it.
You're not just tainting your brand, but you're tainting the whole thing. Because now, when people buy trash, they're not gonna know what to look for that's not trash. So like, if somebody just has a heat press with vinyl, it costs them probably $3-4 to make a shirt. They're not gonna appreciate the time or the effort that somebody else puts into an actual screen print or the embroidery or the patches like you guys did. Like that's real high quality stuff. And if somebody just keeps putting out trash, they're tainting the whole thing.
Yeah. And speaking about that as well, like the consumption of fashion and streetwear. I was at Aaron's for his birthday the other day, and his mom was like, when am I going to get the family discount? When am I going to get the mama discount? When am I going to get the discount?
Heard that before.
And it's just funny. Yeah, exactly. Because not only, like you're saying, okay, you could invest in trash, people could put out trash. But then it's like, even when I'm putting out something quality, like you said, the embroidery and the patches and the really high quality screen print set, we did this line. Then people want to ask for a discount instead of like recognizing that, oh, I'm not buying trash. I can see that it's not trash, but I don't want to support. And it's funny to me because Jade and I were doing it out of our own like pocket,
right?
And you're not buying.
This goes back to the support though. Like, if people really want to support, they're gonna look at the time and the effort that you put into whatever you're doing.
Yeah,
they're not just gonna be like, okay, they're doing that, but somebody else has t-shirts for $25 rather than $40. But look at the quality. Look at everything that's going into this garment. This is really art. It's not just something just pieced together in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and even more than that, I mean, just having that family connection. Even though she'll jest and say, when am I gonna get that discount?
Yeah.
At the heart of it, she's like, I really want that shirt because I know you and I know that you worked hard to make this. So even if I can't get that discount, even though I really do want that discount, I am gonna buy this shirt. Yeah. I'm gonna buy the shirt for what it's worth. And that's love. That's the love right there.
That is love. Yeah. That is hella love. And what's another thing too? When I was at your crib, I don't know who he was, but he was like, "Why you getting on the big man for? How come you don't have the XXX yet?" I'm like, man, the first time we dropped, we didn't have XLs at all, and now we do.
And I was pissed,
dude. I know so many people were, and it wasn't even a consideration at the time. It was just like, we're doing it, we do this thing. And so, that's all part about growth, though, and investing and having people invest in you so you can get bigger and bigger. Yeah. And this is something interesting, too, because we've covered a bit about you, but let's get into Driverseat in and of itself, talking about the growth.
Okay.
Because one key thing I would want to do for 2020 is get and Co's exposure in bigger target market cities.
Me too.
Exposure.
Yeah.
What kind of plans are you looking at for Driverseat?
In the exposure range or just overall?
Well, because we know, if you're familiar, and I'll have like links in the description, that you've very interestingly have put out car covers.
Yeah, seat covers.
Yeah, seat covers.
Let's touch on the whole lifestyle aspect. Like, we're not just gonna do t-shirts and hoodies. Like, I'm trying to do everything. I look at brands like Kith, Supreme. They do accessories, hats, jewelry. Shit, Supreme does a whole bike. So that's just me trying to touch on the lifestyle aspect. The brand is called Driverseat. A seat cover sounds perfect. I would love to do like a baby's car seat or something like that.
That'd be dope.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
But yeah, on the growth side, that's something that I'm really trying to study. Is how to get my product into the eyes of more people, not just locally, but in surrounding cities. Because when it comes to growth, I want to be everywhere. So if it has to come to like me doing an event in a different city, I'm all for it. With like the target marketing ads on like Instagram and stuff, I don't know how much that really works, but I'll give it a try.
Mm-hmm. You said that you were playing around with some type of ads, right?
Yeah, a couple of the Instagram posts. I think I did do the promote thing. It got the picture in the eyes of more people, but I don't think it really helped sales wise, or I don't think we had anything to sell. I think I did it on a Flea Friday mixtape or playlist, and I was trying to get the playlist more listeners. So I did the Instagram ads, promoted it. I think the views went up tremendously, but it really didn't convert into actual link clicks, which I think that's what it is really for. So I really want to find some new methods.
Interesting. Yeah, we've yet to play around with digital marketing. It's definitely something you could consider, I suppose. But to me, in my eyes, there's nothing. Well, okay, I should start like this. When you're wearing something, it's because it represents something about you that you find attractive.
Right.
And a thing that we try to do in our line is kind of touch on nostalgia, especially with older video game
with the Sega stuff.
Because it's you have a cognitive relationship when you see something that's like,
it takes you back to that moment. Yeah,
it's like that's like Sega Genesis, but it's different because it's got and stuff in it. Like, what is this? Oh, it's the brand, but that's the inspiration that I fuck with, and I have those memories and stuff like that.
It's kind of like this jersey. Like, this is the jersey that I saw Reggie Miller wearing. I saw Jermaine O'Neal wearing. So that's something.
Ron Artest.
Ron Artest, definitely.
Oh no, not the brawl. I remember watching the brawl.
Man, the brawl ruined. What year was that? That was...
I'd have to say 4, right?
2004. So
was it? Or 3 or 4?
The brawl ruined my 9th birthday. Because every year, my mom would probably take me to a Pacer game for my birthday.
Yeah.
The brawl happened like 3 days before my birthday. So Ron Artest wasn't playing. J.O. wasn't playing. Steven Jackson.
Yep.
I think Reggie Miller was hurt. But I think he ended up leaving the bench. So he was suspended for like 10 games. It ruined my whole birthday.
Yep.
Shout out the Pacers, though.
But yeah, the Pacers. But yeah, that was the right direction there. And it's sad, too, because I think that was his final year, Reggie.
Was it? I'm not sure. I had to fact check that.
I'd have to check that, too, but I just remember them losing in, like, the second round of the Pistons that year.
That was going to be a big year for the Pacers. Like, the year before, wasn't they in, like, the Eastern Conference Finals? A lot of people had them picked to go into the finals and beating the Pistons. Like, they was coming off a strong season. A lot of people forget about that.
And our defense was really the better part, to which I remember.
Ron Artest was probably in the voting for Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. He probably should have been.
Yeah,
the Brown wouldn't
he was a dog, man. But anyway, getting back to the whole conversation about fashion, Jalen from the Brothers Guys podcast is something that Jada and we had an episode with them, and he was telling me about he was at the supply show.
Yeah, I was there too.
Yeah, and as you know, not only was it cramped and dirty and dark and everything, they just had so many different booths, right? It just all lined up and stuff. And he was like, he had just went through a couple of times, chilled, met some people, stuff like that. And he was on his way out, and he just saw that Sega Genesis thing.
Y'all did have a pretty good placement right there.
I mean,
there by the door.
Yeah.
As soon as you walk in, turn to your left. Oh, what's this? It's only one board, but man, should we tell that story?
Sure.
Oh
Griff,
my gosh.
I have to explain to the audience and to Griff a little bit.
You told me the story.
All right, fine, Griff. Don't ruin it. All right, to the audience.
Hey, this is perfect for the first episode, though.
Man, it's hard to even describe. So essentially, we're out shopping all day, gathering materials all day.
Okay, let's set the scene.
Okay,
this is what the show was on Saturday, so this is Friday. It's me, Rio, and Jada. I think I went over Jada's house at 11 o'clock in the morning, trying to help them get ready for the supply show. We ended up going to IKEA. First we stopped in Wendy's, didn't we?
Yeah, on the way to IKEA.
Stopped in Wendy's, went to Walmart. We didn't get anything from Walmart.
Some letters.
Did we get the paint
and stuff like that?
Yeah, we got the paint. Yeah. We got the paint from Walmart. And then we pushed it up to IKEA and get some more stuff. And this is all just gathering stuff to create the background that they were supposed to have at the supply show.
Yeah, hosted by Pattern Magazine.
By Pattern. Funny thing about that is, I put in to be on that show too, and literally, I think it was the Monday of the week of the show, I get an email saying, "Hey, I thought that somebody emailed you back, but you were supposed to be picked too. So let me know if it's too late for you to, bring your stuff in." Blah blah blah. I didn't even respond. But
if we're gonna pause there, I have to also say, like, I would say 2 weeks before the event, they're like, "Hey, anybody who wants to be featured in our digital fashion show, just drop off your stuff here at this location," stuff like that. I'm like, okay, cool. That's 5 minutes from where I work.
Okay.
So I told Jada, I was like, okay, let's just like take the hoodie because the hoodie's hot.
Yeah.
Do some, like maybe like a shirt or something like that. I'll just go drop it off right before I go into work at 8. Be just cool. I get to the place. I'm like, I call the person. I said, hey, I'm out here, but I see like a Horizons Bank and a this and that and the other.
Am I at the right place?
Yeah. And she was like, wait, let me check the address.
Don't tell me she
Oh,
sent it
I'm
wrong.
sorry.
Wow.
She sent a wrong address to
This
me.
probably the same person who sent my email too.
Yeah.
And
That's what
like,
made me think of that.
my apology email that I got, it was like full of emojis and stuff. I'm like, is this a business email or a text message, a breakup or something? Like, what's going on?
Emojis. But
But
yeah.
yeah.
Nah, so anyway, we're gathering materials for this show. And it's crazy because the whole time while we're even driving, because it takes a minute to get up to IKEA, I'm trying to like formulate ideas with Jada. I'm like, we could do this, we could do that. They're not sticking. Nothing is sticking. And then finally she's like, cool, I like the idea of just having, because we had 2 big boards we were going to have behind our table. And I was throwing a lot of ideas out there, and none of them stuck. But we finally just decided we'll just paint it blue. We'll get it done. And then we'll have and Co. and these wood letters. And
It's going to be perfect.
yeah, and then her original idea that she had was this huge greenery, using that as...
a greenery that was only 2 feet long or something like that.
that came, yeah, exactly. And then some used gaming consoles, because a lot of our last line, took gaming consoles for inspiration, or even just video game titles.
Yeah.
And as you know, you brought the Game Boys through Clutch. And we like hung them up on the board. But anyway, that's getting too far ahead of the story.
You're right.
Because we're just grinding, getting everything together. And I think before we even went to IKEA and did all that stuff, what we did is we checked out the venue.
Yeah, we did
And
go over there.
that was the first thing we did.
Because originally, y'all were behind a wall where nobody could see you or something like that. It was terrible. It was a terrible location. I think Jada was like, nah, this ain't going to work. Let's take this one over here, blah, blah, blah. But she hated the location at first. Because, like, the whole place was gutted. There was no ceiling. You saw the insulation. I guess they was trying to bank on people bringing their own creative stuff and adding to it, which I get it.
That's what we did.
But yeah, get back to the story.
So yeah, no, like, so first of all, we're after we just got done seeing that, we're like, we should not do this show. We're really considering it, but then she was really considering it. I was like, kind of like, okay, and you were there, and you're like, nah, you all should just do it.
Yeah.
So that's what we were like. All right, cool. If we're just gonna do it, then we gotta do all the stuff. So anyway, we get everything together. We're painting boards. We're doing shit. We're doing it fast. We're doing it well too.
We got through that board painted so quick.
So quick.
All 3 of us had the little paint. This story starts off so wonderful, man.
It does.
It just starts off so great.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, cool. If we're gonna hang everything up, I'll just go get some supplies back at my house. It takes me a minute because my mom starts talking to me about stuff. I guess, and then she sits me down. We start eating and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get back there. And when I get back there, y'all are like, man, what the hell took you so long? I'm like, hey, things happen. So the sun is setting, but I got all the stuff drilled in, and y'all had placed everything very well.
Yep.
We're like, wow.
Everything was ready. We just had to drill the holes to get the roses through the greenery.
Yeah,
that was the last piece.
Yes, these generic looking Michael's roses.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got all the holes drilled in, and we have these big, our big wood panel. Well, like they're boards and stuff like that.
It was like 2 pieces of drywall. I think that's really what it was.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah, you're right, and that's why it snapped. But anyway,
you're getting too far out of the story.
Yeah, so we have them leaned up against the house, And
it was my idea to lean up against the house. I saw Rio struggling to put the roses through the holes while the drywall was laying on the ground. So I suggested, hey, how about we pick up the board, lay it up against the house, and then just stick the roses through there. It'd be nice and easy. Which it worked until the last rose. Yeah. Until the very last rose.
The last rose.
The last rose.
The very last rose.
Oh, and I you know what's even crazier and funnier to mention about this point in the story is that, well, Jada had went back in the house.
Yeah, she's chilling right now.
Jada's had long day of work, kicking up, feet up, it's all good. So we're like finishing up. We put the last rose through, and tragedy strikes. A slight breeze that on any other day you would love to have felt on your face was a tremendous nightmare because all of a sudden it just ever so slightly tipped this wood panel drywall construction thing we got going, tipped it, and so kdog's about, I would say, 4 or 5 inches taller than I am, something like that. Naturally, he goes high, I go for the middle. We gotta just grab it easily. It just, what happens, bro?
Let me paint the picture real quick. I said it was the last rose, and it was. You put the rose in, immediately turn around and say, hey, how's it look? As soon as you take that first step towards me, the whole thing comes falling down. And like he said, I'm taller, so I put my hands up and try to grab the top. He grabs the middle, splits right in half. After doing all this work, all the painting, after drilling the holes, putting the roses, putting the whole greenery on, everything on there, it snaps after he puts the last rose and turns around and says, hey, how's it look? Takes a step, boom, comes right down. Tragedy struck.
And it happened so lightning fast. So bam, it happens. Oh, half of what we want to do just broke. And like you said, all the hard work, all that stuff, we just, you know.
As soon as it broke though, we stood there and looked at each other for a good 2 minutes.
That's what I'm saying.
We ain't say not a word.
Bro, we had it in our hands, it just broke.
How could you?
We just
He couldn't say nothing.
Yeah, we just laid that down. It was like, okay.
Damn, man. That was so fucked up.
And the only thing that broke our silence, I said, hey, bro, I'm going to go tell Jada.
Yeah, because I definitely wasn't going in there. I was not going in there. I had to think about what the heck I just suggested because I was blaming me. I don't think I told Jada that, so she probably going to hear this. But, yeah, I'll take full responsibility for that. It was my fault.
No, it's no one's fault. Nothing like that is anybody's fault. But, anyway, so that's that. Nice, fun side story talking about just the highs and the lows of doing a small business. Because ultimately, we did the thing. Yeah. You know, we had a good time.
You took the board that survived.
Yeah. Set up the podcast interview that we got. I got to meet a lot of cool people around the scene I'd never met before. Told a lot of the brands there that while I love what they're doing, they're my competition, but a friendly competition.
Right.
And I told them I got a better stuff at my booth, so check us out.
That's what this stuff is, though. Like, it's definitely a competition. I hate that everybody wants to, collab and do things together, which is cool. It's fun, but like I said earlier, I've been playing basketball since the age of 3. I'm super competitive with everything in life. So when it comes to this business stuff, yeah, we're cool, we're friends, but I still want to have the best out. I still want to do everything better than y'all. I'm not going to lie.
And that's what pushes the business, that competition, that competitive spirit. Yeah, because if everybody's just like, hey, everybody's just going to make the same thing, then it doesn't, you don't push the envelope. You don't do anything new and exciting. Exactly,
because that's literally what capitalism is. It's not. We don't want a monopoly in an industry. We want a diverse set of competing people. Then the people have their choice,
right?
And it only pushes whoever's making something. It pushes them to either do better or make their things cheaper or do more high end or buy in bulk or whatever it is. They have to maximize the way they want to sell something. So it's very interesting.
It makes the other people think. Like, I'm trying to keep everybody else on their toes. So when I do something like a seat cover, like, oh, that's kind of left. I ain't really thinking about ever doing something like that. I'm trying to see what everybody else could do. Because if I'm the only one doing stuff like this, then I feel like a lot of people gonna be in trouble, man. I'm gonna say that.
So I see you got the driver's seat socks on and the custom one-on-one jersey. and we talked about the seat covers. What can people, when they go and check you out right now, just as of today, what are they going to see on the site you can get?
As of today, I think we have one seat cover in stock. The other two sold. We only did 3 pieces of clothing, really. We did a white T-shirt at the end of 2018, then started 2019 off with a black hoodie, and we put a black T-shirt in, I want to say, what was that, October? So yeah, on the clothing side, we haven't really done too much, but going back to that hoodie that we put out the first month of 2019, I still see people wearing that today. Like, if you go to the website and click on the blog, you're just gonna see a whole bunch of pictures of everybody wearing our stuff, and that goes back to, you know, pre LLC days when I was making stuff on the heat press and giving away to people. That's on there. But on the site, that one, I think it's a blue camo seat cover that's still available. It's a lot of stuff on the blog. Like I said, we do a lot of music playlists too. So there's a music tab on there where you can check out it's probably up to like 20 playlists by now. But that's on there. Today's January 4th. So hopefully by the end of this month, we have something special. I'll go ahead and say it. We want to do these Black History Month sweaters. It's going to be a red sweater and a gold sweater. So those should come out probably the last week of January, if not first week of February. But it's definitely going to be here for Black History Month. So be on the lookout for that.
That's an exclusive
yeah.
news press release right there. You heard it first on the What Do You Know show. But
only Rio got that information.
Right, and yeah, whoever checks this out. And actually, we won't have this up at least for another week or so.
Okay.
So yeah, it'll be right around. It'll be a nice time because as you know, you're gonna be the first episode. So it'll be a nice like hint. That's the way I'm gonna market it too.
Go ahead.
There's a hint.
Use that.
So anyway, okay, but like you just quickly touched on the playlist, and that's something I did want to ask you as well because music and streetwear especially, they always reflect popular culture.
Yeah.
And so they have a great intersection, but I was just wondering, was it something more fun to do, or was it a way to have people understand the brand?
Honestly, it was a piece of free content that we can put out with our stamp on it. Because when it comes to making clothes and making everything else, that still takes money. But just building a playlist with good music and stuff that really reflects the brand, it's not super easy, but it's free and it's also fun. And I like putting people onto new music that they may have not ever heard before.
I think that's a smart way to expose your business
Yeah.
too. People come
It's
even
great.
if they
it's
never
very smart.
bought anything from Driverseat.
Right.
They know they can come to you for like a dope playlist and then they can share it with their friends.
You still don't get the feel of Driverseat through the music, the clothes, everything else that we do. That's a part of the whole lifestyle that I was talking about earlier.
It's a really cool idea.
Yeah, it is. So, Griff, obviously you got from the first drop the on Co hoodie, one of our classics. And at this
It
point,
didn't come in XL that I
it
couldn't
did not
get.
come in XL. Hey, there's still some. There's I think to me personally a cooler hoodie in XL. I think we still have in stock. We definitely have a lot of things still in stock actually. And something interesting too was just talking about innovating and trying to. Well, I should say for us, for instance, we went with our first drop, and we went from a certain level of quality where we just had the same design on a couple different colors of apparel to having all unique designs on different types of apparel. And the jacket, I think that we did is to date our best drop, and I'm gonna see how we're actually gonna do better than that because we have like this big 6x5 embroidered quote on it.
It's huge. That goes back to the quality that I was talking about earlier. Like, people don't think about that stuff. Yeah. It's a 6x10 embroidery on a jacket. Thick embroidery. Great quality. I'm not going to say how much y'all spent on that, but it definitely takes money to do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like just even picking what we were going to put it on, it's like it has 2 layers. I'm not really going to get into the product specs about it, just simply to say that I'm trying to think now about how we're gonna push the envelope, push the boundary the next drop. How we're gonna do.
You
better,
talking like,
you know,
design wise or quality wise?
I think, well, both. To be real with you, because I know we have an idea that I've shared with you that I think is gonna just be very innovative and very.
That's gonna be one of the staple, pieces right there too.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking that is something that we could just this is just me thinking off the cuff. Just there's ideas that I had, like just doing a small run of canvas prints too, of
That'd
certain
be
designs
dope.
that we have.
Have you told Jada that?
No,
She'll love that.
that's what I'm thinking.
Especially
like,
with the next stuff that y'all plan on doing.
Yeah.
If you do that, I'm like, yeah, that'll be. Oh yeah, you definitely got to mention that to her.
I just want to give the layman's perspective because I had never even thought about this because you pointed out that 6x10 embroidery is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's huge.
From a layman's perspective, it just looks cool. So like I don't know anything about the fashion or the work that goes into it. So like the common man's perspective, like my mom who doesn't know how much costs. Excuse my language. I'll make sure we censor that. But like you see the stuff and it's just like, oh, that's nice. But you don't think, oh, that must have cost so much to put that on.
Yeah.
Because we're not in the business. So how do you make that a priority, even if it is your biggest drop? I mean, and maybe it's just intuitive. Maybe people just know that that's really nice, and I'm not seeing that anywhere else. But like, how do people know that it's a big deal without knowing the ins and outs of what goes into it?
Well, we were talking about like you can either put out stuff that's trash and then people may consume that if they want to, or you can put out high quality stuff and like you just were saying, you recognize that it's cool. That's all I want. I don't want. It's a great motivation to say, wow, not only is it that nice and high quality, but someone I know personally that just is getting this off the ground did it. It would be enough for me, like, because that's a cool motivation in and of itself.
Yeah.
But just to say, oh wow, look at that, that's cool. That's what I want at the end of the day, because that means there's some kind of connection that you've made with it, and at the very least, you could understand why someone's rocking it. Because sometimes you see people wearing something, you're like, oh my god, they stepped out the house wearing that. Like, that's something I would never want a layman, to say about when they just look at our stuff.
Okay.
You know. So how would you answer that? I think you
What was the
pose
question
that to
again?
both ways.
How should your everyday man sort of judge whether something is like you said, that 6x10 is sort of a big deal, but how should I know that if I don't know the ins and out of the business? How should I perceive what goes on to a work of fashion without knowing what it takes to produce that sort of fashion?
I wouldn't really expect that from the common man. I think a person like me knows that just from buying, clothes. Like, I got my first checking account when I was 13, and I was buying clothes since 7th grade, just getting online, buying shoes and stuff off eBay, trying to find Supreme and Bape for the cheapest price, and like having to go through getting a couple fake T-shirts to realize that, hey, this feels different than that one.
Yeah.
I got this for $50, but this same T-shirt cost $200 from the real place.
I got a fake Babe G-Shock one time.
See?
Yeah.
We've all been there though. But getting back to the common man, I don't really know how they would. It's just investing into the people that you're buying the stuff from. So if you follow their pages, I know they're probably gonna post their process or show you different things that they're doing and what goes into it, and just buying into the brand more than buying the clothes. I feel like
That's real.
And I think you've done a really great job with introducing the music playlist aspect. Yeah. And I think, so for us, like Jada and I, the podcast is going to help, just like it's going to help the business because it's going to be more about knowing.
This just gives y'all own platform to get y'all own narrative out.
Yeah.
Which is perfect.
Yeah.
I love
and
this aspect of it.
Jada, she's going to be starting her own show as well.
Yeah. She talked to me about the YouTube stuff, which is right up her lane. Like, that's gonna be perfect for her too. 2020 is gonna be amazing. I'm telling y'all right now.
Yes, it is. Just simply because if you have a dream or an aspiration, then go for it. That's what we're.
That's
doing.
one of the biggest things I've learned just from doing this whole business stuff. You just got to do it, man. Like, Get out of your own head. Stop thinking about the stuff that you want to do or what would be cool. Just do it. Put that stuff out into the world. Let other people see it.
Yeah.
That's the only way it's going to work.
Absolutely. And even if it's like, well, I want to do something with my life, but I don't know what it is. Well, you're doing something wrong because you don't know what it is first. Recognize that. And then also recognize that you should seek out the wisdom. Because there are people that you haven't heard. There are people that could give you great advice and put you like as a life coach in a certain area or direction.
People don't go outside anymore, real. You can't get people out of the house, off their phones, out from in front of the TV. That's as simply as I can put it.
Yeah. I often talk about reality and how everyone has, in terms of how they experience it, a different reality because it's all based on their perspective. And the interesting thing about a perspective is that it could either be as limited or as broad as a person makes it.
That's 100% true.
Yeah. And if your reality is defined by something that's very narrow and limited, then that's
all you're
how
gonna
you're
get
going
from
to
it.
view
Yeah.
the world. Right, exactly. And what I strive to do, especially with this show and the interviews that we're doing, facilitating a broadening of people's perspectives. And that's why it's the What Do You Know show, because, well, if you're going to tune into an episode, the topic or the title of the show will be basically questioning you, well, what do you know about X, Y, and Z? What do you know about Driverseat? What do you know about kdog? And that's actively what I would like to do, because if I can help people with my audience grow their perspective and things, and their reality and their world becomes a lot bigger, then I think it will make them better. And if I did that for a lot of people, then I could make maybe a community better, right?
Like, especially in today's age, where, like I just said, people don't go outside. So if you put this on YouTube, this is just another TV show.
Yeah.
You feel me? So
Yeah.
Putting content like this in front of people is definitely needed, and I'm glad that it's coming from somebody like you.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
say that.
and we're gonna be partners, so I'm glad to work with you,
definitely.
bro. But I wouldn't be able to do it without Griff.
Shout out to Griff.
And so, what do you have to say about the whole broadening of people's perspectives, or just chasing your dreams and ambitions in 2020?
Well, I would say that those are two vastly different topics.
Interesting.
I'll start with the perspective one. I would say that you can't force anybody to do anything that they're not ready to do. I think that kind of goes back to our discussion of like, people always do the best they can. And so even if somebody saw this show and they didn't know anything about kdog or Driverseat, they could watch this and still choose to not believe any of it.
Right.
So there's that. And so I would say that...
Which is going to happen.
Yeah. Giving people the opportunity to broaden their perspective is definitely important. Because as long as that opportunity is there, they can always take it. They can always choose to take it. So there's that.
Right.
As far as aspirations of 2020, I'm a very... I would say that I am a very stoic person.
Yeah.
Even though I don't 100% know what that means most of the time. But my attitude about, like, the new year, which technically it's not a new decade. I don't know if people have really thought about
true. That is
technically
very
it's not
true.
a new decade. We're still
Explain that.
So
You're right.
The calendar starts on year one. And if the century starts at, like, for example...
So next year?
Yeah, so next year will be the new decade. So we're not technically in a new
so
decade.
Right. Yeah.
But from my perspective, every day is just the current day. And so even though it's a new year, for me, it's really just
a
the next
calendar
day.
flip.
And so the attitude of like, oh, it's a new year, we're going to start this off fresh. We're going to do things hard. It's like, I didn't stop doing things hard. And I will never, ever stop doing things hard, which is funny to say because I usually take my life pretty easy. But, I mean, that's just my attitude about aspirations. If my aspiration was different today than it was yesterday, then I messed up somewhere. And so if you gotta reprioritize every year, you should probably think about reprioritizing every month or every week because, I mean, life is that current. You should probably stay up to date with it. But I mean, it's good. It's good. Having the new year is a good time for most people to just step back and like really take things in, especially when you get older. Things are flying by. I think from a young perspective, the new year is a big deal because every day is packed with new information. But the older you get, things just sort of drift by. So, I mean, the new year is a good middle ground for everybody. So, yeah, recoup those aspirations, redouble the bag and just get back to it. So
redouble the bag.
Redouble the bag. So let's get to
I'm
it.
trying to double, triple, quadruple, all that.
Giving back to it tenfold. So yeah. I don't know if I answered either of those questions very well.
Well, I mean, you did in your own way.
In my own perspective, yeah.
So, that I'm really excited to see the drop in February.
Yeah, me too, man.
You know I'm going to get my hands on them.
Like, this is, honestly, I wanted to do this exact same drop last year. I just didn't have the funds to do it.
Gotcha.
So, me sitting with this design for literally 365 days has been tough. Like, it's definitely been times that I went back to it, it's like, damn, do I really like this? I don't like this no more. But I liked it last year. What's changed? Nothing really changed. So I definitely had those thoughts with it, but I'm sure once the people see it, they're definitely going to love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've seen the impressive amount of things you've designed that you are sitting on currently. I won't even touch about how many, but I've seen some things. And that's what's really exciting for me to get to know and work with you. Because it's like it's a blessing to meet a guy that not only has the business savvy and the motivation to do it, but has the raw talent of coming up with these crazy, amazing looking designs.
And that's something I taught myself how to do. Like, going back to my computer science major freshman year, I didn't even know that you can get all of the Adobe stuff for free.
Yeah, in college?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So back then, I didn't even have it.
Oh, man, dang.
It literally took me until my junior year of college to go to the little IU Wear site and finally download every Adobe software.
Yeah.
So I ended up teaching myself how to use Illustrator. I've been using that for the past year, just trying to come up with different designs and teaching myself how to do little things, which I'm still pretty novice at it, but I can use it for the stuff that I need to use it for, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. And that's one thing people sorely lack is that just someone telling them that they have the ability to learn. It's doesn't have to be outside of the realm of possibility, but yeah, that's very interesting. It's just because like, so saying that you can learn something and having an ability or a natural skill in order to do it is two different things. Right. So you've been blessed with the actual ability and skill to do it. So that's interesting.
It's just a drive. Like, I'm always gonna try to get it done.
Yeah.
If somebody tells me I can't, I might ask why. If I don't agree with that, I'm gonna say, all right, I still think I can do it. So
just do it
go ahead and try it. Yeah.
Well, I think that's an interesting way to wrap it. If you want to bring up any, leave the people with anything, or like, how can we follow you? What's the website?
You can find us at www.driverseatnbd.com, Instagram, driverseat.nbd, Twitter, driverseatnbd. My Instagram is what? K.0, the letters or the number 0. And my Twitter is what? kdog0, kdog0. That's about it, man. Just be on the lookout for everything Driver Seat this year. We're doing a lot of stuff, way more than last year. Like, we've only done a legit 4 pieces of items, you know. That was the white champion t-shirt, the black champion hoodie, the black champion t-shirt, and the 3 cars covers. You know, so this year we're getting into more drops. I don't want to give too many details out, but just know that there's enough stuff planned to do something every month if we wanted to.
Yeah.
So we could.
That's exciting.
That's really
So
exciting.
we could.
Yeah.
Oh, and actually, there's one last thing I wanted to touch on too, which is, are you looking to continue your relationship with Steven with Laurie Party?
Yeah, that was great. I actually made that connection. I didn't make the connection, but how he ended up giving away driver seat shirts at Laurie was at you guys' event. We chopped it up there, and he was just telling me how he wanted to have local brands stuff. He might have mentioned selling it, but he ended up giving them away, and he bought the rest of my stock at you guys' what was that? You guys' 3rd event?
No, second.
The second one?
Yeah.
Yeah, he bought the rest of the stock there, which was crazy. But yeah, I would definitely want to continue doing stuff like that. Giving away free shirts at a local party from a local brand, that's dope.
Yeah, it's really dope. When I heard that you were going to participate because I don't go out. But I was like, oh shit,
Go outside, Rio.
I'm talking like. Anyway, yeah, you're right. No, but I just was like, shit, that is nice, cause.
Yeah, that was fun too.
Yeah.
That might have been the biggest lorry ever too. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. I'm glad,
perfect.
that you were in it.
It was perfect.
Cool. Well, we'll wrap there, and we'll have many more episodes with you in the future.
Definitely, I'm coming back for sure.
Cool.
Multiple times.
We'll be glad to have you.
Right on.
All right. Always question, what do you know?